Thank the gentleman for yielding, and I'll start my questions with where the gentleman from South Carolina ended, and that is with safely reopening schools. I first want to point out that this is a report from the United States Department of Treasury as of June 30th, based on the CARES Act and the $150 billion that we in Congress, working with President Trump, sent to the states for various COVID-19 recovery issues. Every state still has billions of dollars remaining in those accounts, and I would urge any school system, because we don't want any school system to open up without safety precautions. In fact, the American Academy of Pediatrics lays out really well how to safely reopen schools. The Centers for Disease Control lays out very clearly how to safely reopen schools, and that includes masks, sanitizers, other supplies. Any local school system that wants to claim they don't have the ability to do that, go straight to your governor. Your governor has billions of dollars in their account that we appropriated, sitting there waiting for you to buy supplies. It's fully eligible. We don't need to change a law. Billions of dollars. Every state has money for supplies. If you run out, give us a call, but right now there is money in your state's account to buy supplies, masks, sanitizers to safely reopen. But now let's talk about why it's so important to safely reopen. And I'll ask you, Dr. Redfield, because I know you've done a lot of work in this. We see, for example, the District of Columbia is currently saying that they're not going to reopen within school learning. There's not been a single death. Not a single death of anybody under the age of 19 in the District of Columbia. In fact, in Virginia, you're seeing Northern Virginia take this same closed-minded approach. Not a single death in the entire state of Virginia of a person under the age of 19 from COVID-19. But now let's talk about the danger, the detriment that this is doing to those children. I want to dig deeper into the studies I've seen on some of the things you talked about. Mental health, a lack of screening for child abuse. I've seen that maybe 14,000 cases of child abuse are reported in schools every year. That's not happening. And for those children that are in those home settings where the parents are abusing the children, nobody's getting reported because the children are sitting at home. They're not right now, in many of these cases, going to be allowed to go into the school where it can be detected, and it is detected every year. I know we don't talk about it a lot. It's an unfortunate part of our country's society, but it happens. Children are abused, and in so many cases, it's detected in the school. That's not going to happen if these schools don't open. Can you talk about those numbers? Have you seen some of that data?
Well, Congressman, I can just re-emphasize what you said, and it's obviously one of the more disturbing consequences of the lack now of that reporting, not just at schools, which have been so responsible for mandatorily reporting child abuse, but the other place that sometimes it's recognized is obviously in the clinical setting. And as we know, pediatric visits have been curtailed in a lot of clinical settings. So, I mean, it is a highly significant situation now, and you can imagine what it must be like to be one of those recurrently abused children that has sort of lost their safety nets.
Well, and I apologize, we're running low on time. I would just urge any local school system that's making their decisions, go look at the CDC guidelines, go look at all of the data that's out there for teachers, for students, how to safely reopen. You can do it. You owe it to those kids, 50,000 kids in the District of Columbia. Over 50 million children are counting on us to do this right. It can be done. You have to go do it. You owe it to those kids. They're being denied that opportunity. Don't deny them. If you need money, there's billions of dollars sitting out there for the supplies to keep the schools safe. Go make it happen. Dr. Fauci, I want to talk to you about Operation Warp Speed. And first, I want to thank you for, in your opening statement, talking about the over 250,000 people have signed up for those clinical trials. What's that website again if somebody in America wants to be a part of this trial?
coronavirustreatmentprevention.org.
Thank you. Now, to ask about, and I know a lot of people don't really know the details, and again, of all of these plans that are out there, these are plans. I know some people, including some people in this room, disagreed with President Trump's decision to stop flights from China, for example. As you testified earlier, it was the right decision, and it saved lives. I guess they were okay if more lives would have been lost, but that decision saved lives. It was part of a plan. They might not agree with the plan, but the plan saved lives. When we talk about warp speed, I do think it's real important to note, because some people are concerned that there might be some cutting of corners to get to a quicker vaccine. Clearly, that's not the case. But what President Trump really has done is removed red tape, so that agencies like the FDA can laser focus on putting their efforts behind finding a vaccine. President Trump's worked, for example, to make sure that clinical trials can be run simultaneously on the most promising candidates, a very targeted plan to quickly find a vaccine that's safe. So if you want to talk about Operation Warp Speed, how safe it's been and how that is helping us to move forward, is red tape being removed by the plan that President Trump has?
Yes, it is, Congressman. In fact, as I mentioned, and I'll just reconfirm it right now, is that the speed is not at all at the compromising of safety nor of scientific integrity. Getting from the sequence to the vaccine production was record speed, had nothing to do with safety, had nothing to do with cutting corners. From the vaccine to the phase 1, again, was in record speed only because red tape was really avoided, and as we got into phase 3, the same thing.
And have you seen concerns about China trying to steal that information? I understand NIH has an investigation going on.
Yeah.
We've seen cases where China's trying to steal this information. Clearly, they're a threat that President Trump is taking on. What have you seen, and what is the threat?
I have heard that there's been trying to be hacking into the websites and the online components of certain of the people who are developing vaccines. I've just heard that. I have no proof of that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.